President Tinubu visits over $17 million fraud scheme. And from the foreign scene, Middle East crisis overshadows G7 summit amid calls for Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us on the news at 7. I am Obi Chukwemeka Uti. We begin tonight with including the inspector.
To the men and women of the armed forces, the security forces, the police, thank you for the good job you have been doing and what you are still doing to keep our citizens I know you've sacrificed so many lives. I've watched some of your comments. I expect there should be arrests of those criminals. And I know you are.
In the area. According to Aliyah, the establishment of state police, though with the Benue State House of Assembly says the continued killings across Nigeria are as a result of poor response from security agencies in the limits of the law. One, Tawashe Uche, who raised alarm over the destruction of lives and property in Yowata to declare 3 days of mourning in honor of the victims and to fully enforce the anti-open grazing law in the state. Meanwhile, civil society organizations in Benue have also condemned the killing and are calling for justice. In a related development, the Senate says it is tired of mourning following yet another deadly attack in Yowata, Benue State. Spokesperson of the Senate, Yemi Adaramodu, described the continued bloodshed as to Benue and Zamfara states, insisting this of training of trustworthy local youths as community vigilantes to support security efforts within the state. Elsewhere in Niger State, government says more than 700 persons are still over the recent disaster in Minna. Garba confirmed that 207 people have been confirmed dead, while over 3,000 households were displaced by the flood. Al-Mustafa said he was in the state to sympathize with the government and the people of Now, Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has expressed readiness to partner with the Czech Republic for economic growth and development. Governor Aiyedatiwa, who received in audience the country's ambassador to Nigeria, Kreche Zenek, said that his administration will provide has details.
To meet with Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa at his office in Akure, the Czech ambassador highlighted his country's strong industrial tradition, particularly in machinery and agriculture. He expressed optimism about cooperating with Ondo State, offering expertise in modern agricultural machinery, construction technologies, and renewable energy solutions, citing the state's natural resources and political will.
We are very strong.
Adewale Adekunbi stated that the partnership aims to boost economic activity, address poverty and unemployment through
opportunity of 1 year advantage of training the youth.
Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa expressed readiness to partner with European entities to enhance economic growth, technological transfer, and international cooperation.
You talk about having reliable machinery for the area of agriculture, for rice milling, maize. That is what we need in Nigeria as a whole and various states for food production and food security. We have the longest coastline in Nigeria. And then we're looking at marine and blue economy. That is one area that a lot of people have not bought in those states. That comes in first and have a better deal for us. So that is another area you can look at. And because of our location.
Commitment to Bankole, Osrc News.
To the break. Janice again. Television. You can also watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at OSRC TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel OSRC TV Undo. Now for people.
The rainy season, which typically spans from May to October in Nigeria, is a period marked by persistent downpours, waterlogging. These weather changes comes an alarming rise in health. According to medical practitioners, water ideal breeding grounds for mosquitoes, thereby increasing the rate of explains practical ways to prevent mosquito bites, including the use of insecticide-treated nets, indoor spraying, and removing stagnant water around the home.
Wear something that will cover yourself, even for this younger, the children under 5. Make sure that they are well dressed during this period.
Also contributing to the seasonal health crisis in the context, health experts Olu Aladeshulu identified poor sanitation and blocked drainages as leading causes of waterborne diseases during this period.
In Nigeria, in Akure, the capital city of Ondo State, we still have flow into some streams. It's not every hole.
Water, especially in urban.
Nothing to do strictly with the season of the rains. If they are elderly, because we mentioned elderly, who smoke, there are chances of getting respiratory infection not as good as when there is no. Mothers, young adults, elderly should be on good food.
Respiratory issues also spike during this season, especially drinking water, to using protective clothing and maintaining of clean environments.
In the morning I will take tea when I'm not fasting. I will take tea, I will use warm water to bath myself. Then I make sure I wear cardigan like as I've put on my coats just to cover
mosquito breeding sites and seek medical attention early. They say prevention is better and cheaper than cure. Abidemi Akinrotoye, OSRC News.
The Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, LPPC, has shortlisted 72 lawyers for the conferment of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2025. A statement by the LPPC Secretary and Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court, Kabira Kambi, said the list published ahead of the final interview stage consists of 57 advocate applicants and its guidelines. The statement said every complaint must be accompanied with a verifying affidavit deposed to by the author before a superior court of record. Now to Kano State, where the hospital's management board has disowned a viral social media message requesting donations. Board spokesperson Samira Suleiman said the donation request, which includes a phone number and account details, is fake. She confirmed that although a philanthropist promised to donate an X-ray machine worth over 6 million naira, the equipment has not yet been delivered. Suleiman warned the public to disregard the message, describing it as fraudulent, and urged everyone to stay alert and avoid falling victim to scams. Hajj exercise advisor to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Islamic matters, Dr. Jebe, the pilgrims to reflect on the lessons of the spiritual exercise and allow the message to manifest in their lives, businesses, and other endeavors. He said the continuous collaboration with the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, and other stakeholders would improve the scale of performance in the coming years. The committee chairman assured that the remaining pilgrims will be transported back in accordance with the schedule of NACON. 159 years in prison for orchestrating a $17 million fraud. The convictions announced by the U.S. Department of Justice followed a multi-year investigation into a transnational organized crime ring that used a mix of target victims, mainly elderly and vulnerable. The convicted individuals, Damilola Kumakbayi, Sandra Eroboge, Popnen, Edgar Erobobe, 2017, and spanned several years. According to court documents, the group lured victims through fake online relationships, compromised business communications, and false investment opportunities. District Judge Amos Mazant handed down the sentences following their convictions. The final day of the G7 summit in Canada was dominated by those details.
The summit continued here despite President Trump's sudden departure, although the reason he left, the escalating conflicts in the Middle East, was not on the formal agenda. It was still the main concern for those attending. French President Emmanuel Macron, who earlier said he believed the US was trying to broker a ceasefire, now says he hopes Trump is using more forceful language only to pressure Iran back to the negotiating table.
I believe that the biggest error today is to seek a regime change in Iran through military means, because that would lead to chaos. Therefore, our responsibility is to resume discussions as quickly as possible to restore a framework for addressing the nuclear and ballistic issues. This is what France has consistently done for the past 10 years.
In an interview with the German network, ZDF Chancellor Friedrich Merz had a much more hawkish tone, saying Israel was doing the worst dirty work.
It is the dirty work that the Israelis are doing for us all. We are also affected by this regime. This mullah regime has brought death and destruction to this world.
Merz also said the destruction of Iran's nuclear program was now also on the agenda, something Israel couldn't achieve along hinting that perhaps the US will itself soon join the war against Iran.
Meanwhile, Israeli tank shell fire has struck a crowd of Palestinians waiting for aid trucks in Khan Yunis, Gaza, killing at least 51 people. According to the Hamas-run health ministry, hundreds more were injured, with dozens in critical condition, and the death toll is expected to rise. Witnesses reported that Israeli forces fired multiple shells into the crowd gathered along the main eastern road, where United Nations and commercial aid trucks were distributing food. The incident followed an airstrike on a nearby home, and the Israeli Defense Forces acknowledged firing into the area, stating that they were reviewing the incident and expressed regret for any harm to uninvolved civilians. The report is presented by Joy Pius.
The world's focus might now be on Israel's war with Iran, but Israel's other war on Gaza hasn't let up for a moment. Today, once again, dozens were killed as they waited for aid, claimed they were targeted by Israeli artillery. The IDF said they opened fire when a crowd approached. Hundreds more were wounded. They were taken to Nasser Hospital in Karanis, one of the only functioning hospitals left in southern Gaza. Many had to be treated on the floor. The hospital is overwhelmed with casualties. Sticks of blood covered the tiles. There are not enough bandages and medical equipment to cope with the number of the wounded.
We were waiting for aid, over 50,000 civilians, when 2 mortars fell in the center of the crowd. The number of martyrs is overwhelming. No one is able to reach them for treatment.
An American doctor recently arrived in Gaza described what he was seeing.
The first couple of days we were seeing a lot of isolated injuries, head or chest or abdomen, but today it's reported that tanks have been used at the food distribution centers, which makes sense because we're seeing multi-trauma. We're seeing head, neck, chest, abdomen, extremities, many deaths, and it just doesn't have to be this way. You know, this is something that's just got to stop.
Little aid is getting into Gaza, sometimes only 40 or 50 trucks a day. Palestinians have to walk through Israelis' military-controlled areas to get food from distribution centers. Shooting have happened almost daily. It is a dangerous journey to get basic needs, but they have no choice. The war with Iran seems to have ended. Any hopes of any imminent ceasefire in Gaza? It has distracted foreign governments and therefore